Live from New York. It's Thursday afternoon. I'm your host, Lou Bernardi. Welcome to Benefits with Friends. Thank you for those of you who could join us today. Hopefully, there are a few people out there. We can't really see who's out there, but I know we had close to 100 registered attendees. So, really excited for today's show. It's a beautiful day here in Woodbury, New York. There's a big hockey game tonight, which I will be front and center in my living room. I'm not allowed to go to Madison Square Garden any longer, but we have a great show today for you. I have a special guest, Eric Silverman. Eric, I'm going to read because there's a lot. There's a lot here, Eric. I'm going to bring him in while I read it. I'm going to bring Eric right into the room. Welcome.
What's
So
up?
Eric Silverman, founder of Voluntary Disruption, host of the Rockstars Rocking podcast, 2017 Employee Benefit Advisor Magazine Voluntary Advisor of the Year, the entire year. That was, sometimes they do two, they do half year. And he's a contributing author of the Amazon bestseller, Breaking Through the Status Quo, How Innovative Companies Are Changing the Benefit Game to Help Their Employees and Boost Their Bottom Line.
Boom.
I have to talk to my editor because I had like a 4-word title for the book I'm writing, and he said it was too long. This is like 30, and it was so the title length is irrelevant if the content's good. So how you doing?
That's right. I'm doing great, man. I'm living the dream. If I was any better, I'd be you, Lou. Boo.
You'd be Boo. Yeah. So yeah, Boo. So for those of you who are new to the show, hopefully there's some. I wear these ridiculous Boo shirts because I titled myself Benefit Optimization Officer. I was not pleased with the term broker, consultant, advisor, because I really didn't think it was in line with what I'm trying to do. The last 5 years of my 30-year benefits career have definitely taken me on a different path, a different journey, trajectory, whatever you want to call it, and met Eric on that new journey. So that was a plus. Been fortunate to meet him live a few times at a few of the industry functions. So you're in Maryland, so how's the weather down your parts today?
You know what? It's a nice day. It's according to my Apple Watch, it's 77 currently, and I was out at my son's field day / summer picnic or spring picnic, and it wasn't humid, which is different. So I'll take it.
Awesome. Yeah, I do, and I don't miss those days. That was always the 100-degree day, and they put me on holding the rope on the big bouncy thing because they didn't want it to fly away. So that'll put a damper on things when you have 20 kids on a floating balloon that's hovering 15 feet above the playground.
Get
so
your video
anyway,
ready.
Yeah. So today's topic, what did we have a title? We have a title: Marketing and Media for the Enrollment Win.
Mm-hmm.
So when I asked you, what do you want to talk about today, and you gave me that title, what did you have in mind? Because I might have some completely different things in mind.
Well, in the year 2022, Lou, everything rhymes. Lou, boo. 22, crazy.
Scooby-Doo.
I got dad jokes. We're dads. Dad jokes. Hashtag. Look, man. In the present day, I truly believe that as brokers, advisors, consultants, and frankly, even employer groups, we together have to be a media company. We have to be a marketing agency. We have to be a PR company. We have to be a mass communication company to get the message down to the end user, who is the true consumer of healthcare. Let's face facts, right? At the end of the day, employers spend a ridiculous, obnoxious, obscene amount of money on medical benefits and other benefits in general. They spend countless hours, weeks, months, and years putting together the most innovative strategies they can, some more innovative than others. And for what? You have arguably the smartest people in the room that it takes sometimes months and months to get it through their head that this benefit or that benefit is important. Great. The light bulb goes off, right? Snap your fingers. And then they expect employees to learn and become educated about the benefits within a 30-minute group meeting or a 10-minute Zoom call or a random conversation. It doesn't make any sense. So from a marketing perspective, and I'll pause in a second and I'll certainly be glad to go over details, but from a marketing perspective, I am truly passionate about getting the end user, the true consumer of healthcare, to better understand their benefits. And it starts at the top with us as advisors, and then all the way down through the C-suite, all the way down to the end user of healthcare.
I couldn't agree more. That is actually, I have this conversation today. I had the conversation yesterday and last week with my account executive, Lindsay, who's probably one of the people tuning in. They're 20 seconds
Hi, Lindsay.
behind us, so I'll hear a hi in 20 seconds from the other room. That's one of the big challenges, because the way we're doing benefits today, right? Meaning our agency, BrightPath, is very different than the way we were doing it. We weren't even called BrightPath 5 years ago. We were Group Planners Inc. and technically still are, but our DBA is BrightPath because there is a brighter path. I just don't know how to spell bright, so I went with ITE. Maybe I was paying by the letter, but
well, you're a New Yorker.
I am a New Yorker too, so I like to shake things up. But that's the key. I know, just when it comes to benefits, employees are typically not very informed, and they make the decision with their pocketbook, not their hearts and their mind. They're not thinking ahead. They are not taking a second to say, okay, what's going on in my life in the next 12 months when I'm going to be locked into this health plan? And is this the best plan? I would say an overwhelming percentage of our clients offer multiple plan options for various reasons, right? Platinum, gold, silver, bronze level plans. And when we offer multiple plans, there are very few exceptions where we aren't seeing a majority of employees enrolling in the lowest plan, most likely because that's the least amount that's going to come out of their paycheck. And it's heart-wrenching when you find out 4 months into it, you get a call from someone that says, well, I'm going to have a baby in November, and I picked the low plan. You mean it's going to cost me $5,000? Right? That's not a way to welcome a newborn into the world. Believe me, that $5,000 is going to come in handy over the next couple of years. That out-of-pocket expense, especially if the cost for enrolling in one of the other plans, the high plan or the mid plan, was less than that difference in the out-of-pocket cost, right? So Lindsay just chimed in. She's here. By the way, if you're out there and you have a question for Eric or I, please put them in the comments on LinkedIn. I'm looking at my other screen because I can't see them actually in the StreamYard that we're in, but we'd be more than happy to try to answer any of your questions or comments, or if you just want to say hello, let us know you're out there. That's great too. When I first met you, Eric, it was a very different conversation, right? It was about communication. It was about, how do you engage with employees? How do you make employees more informed consumers? How do you let the employees know that you're offering these benefits because they are a valuable asset to your organization? Far too often, they don't feel that. Way too often, I think employees are very skeptical. I can't talk today. It's a Ranger game day. I can already feel my
nervous.
My anxiety is already going. We got to win tonight. Anyway, they're skeptical about what their employers are doing, right? They always think the employer is trying to save money by making this plan change, when I can tell you, that's just not really part of the conversation. When we're helping them structure their benefit plans, but keeping them, getting them to understand that and keeping them informed. We roll out, and I see Dale out there. Thanks, Dale. He's Dale Sagan. I think you know Dale. Yep. He's a big supporter of the show. I gotta get Dale on the show actually in the next couple of weeks. Forgot what I was saying. You chime in. Let me take a break.
Well, look, let me back up a stage, right?
Yeah.
So the moment in my business that really was defining was years ago. I was like anybody, right? Probably like you too. I don't want to speak for you, Lou, but I was out there not realizing the mistakes I was making. So I'd be talking to employers, or in my case, brokers, but I'd be talking to employers, and I'd be pitching the benefit and the value and the rate and this carrier and that. And nobody cared. People were falling asleep, and I was falling asleep. It was boring me to death. And I would spend 45, 50 minutes of an hour meeting talking about benefits in general. And I'd spend the last 7, 8, 10 minutes talking about how we're going to roll it out and do the open enrollment and deal with new hires throughout the year and so forth. And I realized, I don't know, all of a sudden a light bulb went off and I realized I was making a grave decision that was not only hurting me or my broker partners that relied on me, but I was also hurting the employers and the employees that count on the employer for benefits. And what I did is I just flipped the script. Just like the title of your show here, Benefits with Friends, you just flipped it around to make it not so risque, which I like it either way. I just flipped the script. So in my case now, and you've seen it, and I appreciate and value you as not only a friend, but a client, broker, partner. You've brought me business and we have mutual clients together. So thank you. But you've seen it firsthand. So we'll spend, and it doesn't always mean it's an hour, but if it's an hour meeting, we flipped it around. Now we'll spend 45 minutes, 52 minutes talking about communication, engagement, being a media company. And I'll show the screen and show a million different ways that we should be communicating with employees in the year 2022. And then at the end, the employer is so fired up and excited, they always say, this is great. Now what? Well, how much does this cost?
Right.
And then I get into the specifics of how it's subsidized, how we pay for it, how we do it, how we even have carriers who are a lot of times are generous enough to help with that, et cetera, et cetera. But here's the funny thing. That's an engaging presentation where the employer actually gives a shit because we're talking about how all the benefits are now going to be better consumed by their employees.
Right.
And at the end, I say, look, the product, the benefit, the rate, the fact that they're A-rated and they pay their claims, that's all table stakes. That's par for the course, right? We can't even introduce you to them if we're not confident that they're good in those areas.
Right.
So at the end, they're so hungry for it that ultimately the actual carrier, the product, the rate, I get it. It matters, but it doesn't matter. What they care more about is how you're going to get them through the journey to get to the ultimate destination. So I'm a big journey guy, and that 45, 50-minute talk is all about journey. The destination just happens to be what product or carrier or system we put them on.
Well, I don't want you to stop believing in the journey.
Dad joke, hashtag.
That was for Dale. The benefit plans that we're helping employers build they're unconventional, right? They should be the status quo. Expectations are just so low, and insurers deliver just such a subpar product most of the time. So when we're working with a clinical case management company that is really proactively reviewing claims data and saying, hey, we have a member who is on the trajectory towards this type of procedure, and we want to engage with that member early. That doesn't happen under normal circumstances. So it is really important to communicate with that employee and all employees at these companies on a regular basis to let them know that what we're delivering it's your health insurance that you come to expect, plus everything else that it should deliver on, but it doesn't right now. Because the feedback that we get a lot of times for our clients that struggle with the communication and the marketing of different solutions to their employees is that they're confused by it. They don't understand, why is this person reaching out to them when it's an enormous benefit, right? And sometimes it takes 3 or 4 phone calls before we get involved and say, hey, can you let John Doe know that so-and-so from Engaged Health, for example, one of our partners that's just incredible at what they do, is trying to reach them, and that the information that they want to share with that member prior to a procedure or a surgery is really significant, is really instrumental. And unfortunately, it just doesn't happen. Too often, I call them benefit decision makers, right? Typically, they're HR directors, HR generalists, HR managers, right? Very rarely does the C-suite get super involved in the benefit decisions, which is a completely different conversation. But these people, this benefit team, HR team at businesses, They are the busiest people at every company. There's no question. They wear 30, 40 hats. My experience most of the time is they cannot wait to close the book on open enrollment and move on to everything else that they do, right? So there's kind of this rush approach to deal with the renewal, negotiate the price, deliver the plans, maybe water it down again, right? Because now you got your initial renewal, then you negotiate, you go out to market, possibly you get the carrier's best offer to try to hopefully save the account, because that's what they're doing. They understand that if they get down to a number that's close to the best alternative number, they're probably going to keep it. And then you make plan changes, and now you have to deliver that message of those plan changes to the employees. That happens usually with a handout or a benefit enrollment portal, but there's no interaction. There's no explaining, hey, before you make that decision, are these life events about to happen for you and your employees over the next year, right? So, those are the type of things where you need the combination of the artificial intelligence, you need the people aspect of it, you need to be approachable, you need to be really intentional and deliberate about the way you're doing these things so that you have employees with benefits that are most appropriate for them and their families.
There's I hesitate to make another dad joke, but people always say the struggle is real, right?
Yes.
The struggle is real. It's out there. And, let me, if you don't mind, Lou, let me give those that are here live, and I appreciate you guys. There's a few handfuls of folks and anybody that is kind enough to listen back to this.
Mhm.
Let me give them some concrete ideas that I imagine most of the folks tuning in are brokers or advisors or consultants in some way, carrier reps. Let me give them some concrete ideas with how to get more engagement when it comes to the employee population.
Let's do it.
So one of the biggest things that I gotta hope and pray you're already doing with your employer group clients in the year 2022, and you should have been for years, but definitely now, is engaging employees with the remote control of their daily life. And everybody knows what the remote control of their daily life is. Lou, what's the remote control? It's their smartphone, right?
Right. Yeah.
Lou has a crappy Android device. I got a real remote control right
Love
here. It's
this
called
phone.
an iPhone. But nonetheless, you need to be engaging people where they're already speaking and
Right.
talking and communicating already with people that they want to. Look, if Home Depot can send me a text message on Friday reminding me that they have a Memorial Day sale going on, and my doctor's office and dentist's office can tell me that I have an appointment next week and I should push C to confirm, and the pizza place and the hair salon can do the same. Why and how on earth are we doing such a shitty job as brokers, advisors, consultants with communicating, I would argue, a lot more important things than the Home Depot sale and getting my hair cut or getting a discount on pizza? We
Pizza's
have
way
to.
up there. I'm from New York. Pizza's way
It's
up
up.
there.
Well, it depends. No chains, right?
Well, I'm just going to stop you there for 1 second, because my belief is this, and I'm writing this book and I've been reflecting a lot, and I start over all the time, because I want it to be, I want it to be right. I got a lot of things to say, and I'm going to say them whether people are going to read them or not. It's different. I'm not selling it, by the way. If you want to copy my book, just let me know.
I know it was out yet.
We, as consumers of healthcare and health insurance, act differently than in any other aspect of our life. It's like we walk through that door and we throw every expectation that we have completely out the window. We don't believe, I'll go a step further. We fill in the blanks for the health insurance and healthcare industry. When they make changes to things, they don't give reasons for it, but we have given them the benefit of the doubt, far too often. Now, this is a little bit off topic because you were talking about communications with employees and stuff, but we never give much thought to it. So, a CFO told me earlier this week, I don't get involved with the benefit decision because there's nothing for me to dive deep into. There's no numbers. which is not true. We can get the numbers, just we haven't come to expect the numbers. And I have to assume that my partners, the ones that I trust to make this decision for me, are doing the deep diving, and they're not. They're not, because they're delivering the product that the customer is asking for, right? It's much harder to try to change the mindset, which is what myself and a lot of other Health Rosetta and different organizations I know you're familiar with. We're really trying to right this ship, but it's very difficult. So when it comes to communicating with your employees, I would say that employers probably do this in a lot of other areas of their business, but it's almost like it's hands off when it comes to benefits. We don't do that. We don't cross that line, because this is not business. And maybe even more importantly, so benefits is about families. You're not giving your employees something. You're giving something that they're turning around and giving to their loved ones, and it's an inferior product, and we put such little effort into informing them about it.
Dude, it's insane, right? An employer will quickly spend incredible amounts of time and effort reminding people about the summer picnic and the Christmas party than they do about benefits.
Yeah.
Legit.
No,
It's
there's
no
no question.
different. It's really no different, candidly, than how the average employee will spend less than 10 minutes learning about and signing up for benefits every year for their family, but they'll spend hours upon hours and weeks upon weeks researching the big screen TV, the new vacuum, the car they want to buy, right? And I get it. I get it. Benefits are boring. No, I mean, I do it for a living. I get it. It's boring. But that's why I preach so highly and with so much passion to employers and brokers alike, um, about the journey versus the destination. That there are ways to engage, and they need to take the bull by the horns and let us help them with it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I hear sometimes, or quite frankly, a lot of times, is an employer and a broker will say, "Hey, we can communicate it, but it's still boring old benefits. So there's no way to make it, dare I say, sexy. The appeal factor isn't there, right? You
Right.
blast out a message, you blast out an email." And we encourage you to use another quick pro tip. Make a note, anybody listening. We encourage you to use their company Slack channel, their Teams channel, their Discord channel, their Brightway, not Brightway. That's there's another. There's a lot of these Slack-like teams like
Sure.
out there. Anyway, get on their intranet when it comes to communication. But the idea is, what's the topic? If I just blast out, "Hey, it's open enrollment. Click here, sign up soon." Nobody cares. "Hey, health insurance, copays went up, copays went down, deductible." It's boring, right? So one of the huge ways that I've been able to generate enormous amounts of engagement for my broker client partners and for our mutual employer groups is by using something that people can nowadays relate to more than anything. And this pains me to tell you this, by the way. So red drum roll here. It pains me because as a professional, I completely would tell you, and everybody on this live stream would say the same. It's more important for an employer and an employee to spend money on disability and life and benefits like that. But at the same token, it's boring. So what grabs attention? When I message somebody and I say, "Hey, blah, 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 open enrollment. We're super excited and furried up that this year we're offering pet benefits. Click here to learn more." Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, Lou, I'm not even exaggerating. That is such a hot button topic. And here's the crazy part. Not everybody's going to sign up. A lot of people won't even have interest. Some people may not have a pet. Doesn't matter. Completely irrelevant. It's the hook that allows them to actually become engaged with their benefits. And you know what? Because it's a mandatory field on Ease or Navigator or Plan Source or whatever the system is that we use, payroll, because it's mandatory, they have to go through medical and dental and vision and all the other benefits, including pet, and then they learn about the details. And I tell you what, when we do post-open enrollment surveys and we have feedback from new hires throughout the year, again, this pains me. Don't be offended, Lou. They're quicker to say, "Oh my gosh, I love that you guys offer pet benefits." And they don't mention disability and life and medical and all that other stuff. And it's sad, but it's true. So I encourage anybody listening, use pet benefits and ID theft and all these other ancillary benefits that really, quite candidly, as advisors, we're for-profit entities. There's really not that much money in it per se. That's not why we do it.
Right.
But with the fact is, more than half of the population has some type of pet, a dog or a cat. People love it and they get engaged. It's so incredible.
You know, it's something different, right? It catches some, you know, the first time you did X, whatever it was the best time, right?
Yep.
It doesn't matter what it is. So when you catch someone off guard or you catch them by surprise, they, oh, this is new. That's when it catches your attention. You're so right that, you know, medical, dental, vision, disability, life, they're a formality. They're a formality until they're not. Someone checks off yes, someone checks off no, and then all of a sudden, life very unexpectedly hits and says, I didn't sign up for that. I should have signed up for more of that, right? And that's the
Too
trick.
late.
Right. It's too late, right? Now you can't get it, you know, and that's unfortunate. But, you know, we understand if you're in the insurance business that, you know, you have to guard against adverse selection, right? There's a time when you can enroll. If you don't enroll in dental, typically at open enrollment or when you're initially eligible or sign up your children, you're a late entrant, right? Now all of a sudden you're gonna have a wait for major services. This is just the reality of it. That's why that pre-open enrollment and then continued communication during the year with employees will hopefully, even if it's 10% more of an informed decision, that's better than we're at today, right?
Yep.
You're not going to stop that person that just wants to go in there or tells the employer, can you just do it for me? Yeah. We can. Unfortunately, we can. It's you know, it's a very important thing, you know, having gone through this for so long, you know, I always use the example that I loved going to open enrollment meetings. It's my favorite time of the year for every client. I get to go see them, visit the people I work with on a regular basis, and I get to see the employees and the names are familiar. I've helped them out. I've helped them with a claim. I've helped them with an enrollment. Someone had a baby. I added the baby, you know, great things like that. But reality hit me that, you know, my best day was their worst day. They were so used to pay more, get less, that I went in there thinking I was Captain America. I don't do this all the shows, but I wear these silly glasses.
Oh, look at this guy.
I
Somebody
picked
screenshot that. Screenshot it.
All right,
Tag
no,
him. Come on.
someone did. But then I realized that this is what they saw.
It's what I see when I look at you.
Right? It's an ice cream head, chocolate ice cream head. You know, they couldn't. You know, they'd have to go. They'd have to sit through it. They'd sign up. They'd listen somewhat, and then they just made the same decision that they made last year. And in these days, you know, 10 years ago, when copays were $10 for most of them, it didn't make much of a difference.
Sure.
Now, when you're selecting that plan that has a $8,000, $10,000 family deductible, and you didn't really take a really close look at it, you just renewed in the low plan, but the new low plan was nothing like it was before. That's a significant problem. So that communication, and you know, HR people aren't sitting there and saying, "Are you sure you wanted to do that? Are you sure you want to do that?" Although I have to say, some of my clients do. They're like, you know what? They're in tune with their employees, some, but it's hard to do that, right? Especially, I think, I want to talk about the post-COVID world versus the pre-COVID world, because it's very different. This is where we use a benefit enrollment portal, ease, you know, for a bunch of our clients. This is our third go round of trying to offer those services complimentary. We cover the cost of it. I did it twice before and had 0 people enroll. All of our clients said, "Can't we just keep doing it the way we were doing it before? We're okay doing it by paper." They didn't want to learn a new thing, even though it significantly lessens their, you know, hand-holding, their time and their investment. We're doing more, building out these plans and everything. But now we have a significant number of groups that are on there because we couldn't do in-person open enrollment meetings for the past 2 years. So it's even, I think, I mean, have you seen a significant interest in employers using technology, text messaging, things like that, because they're not with their employees like they
Yeah,
were 2 years ago?
sure, sure. Well, let's flash backwards pre-COVID.
Right.
I was doing, I mean, and we've had this conversation a billion times. I'm a firm believer that virtual open enrollment and new hires is here to stay. It's not going anywhere, and it's
Oh,
getting bigger
absolutely.
and bigger. And
Yeah.
I truly believe the days of brokers and folks like myself, and even enrollment firms are leaving very quickly over the years. I would struggle prior to COVID. I would struggle to get employers to give me a full census with even with you as the broker saying it's fine. I would still struggle to get them to give us their cell phones so we can do a text campaign and we can do this and we can do that. And it was always the old, they're just not sure. And, everybody's in the office. What does it matter? Blah, blah, blah. And um, I've been doing virtual open enrollments 100% since before it was cool to do that. Again, pre
Right.
COVID.
Yeah.
During COVID and most certainly post COVID, I honest to goodness, if it was pre-COVID, I would tell you more than half, sadly, it was a struggle to get cell phone numbers and
Right.
get them on board. Now, I have not had to convince or sell anybody on it. Like employers are in, they're ready to go. I have more HR people and owners telling me, "Oh my gosh, you mean you don't need to pull my guys off the line? You don't need us to put together a huge group meeting? Oh my gosh, that was so annoying. I hated when
Right.
the carrier rep did this and my broker did that and with the burden is gone off their shoulders. We handle, as a media company, bringing it back to the title, we handle everything for them from soup to nuts, from plan strategy to shop the market to install and after the sale service, including technology and enrollment. And
Right.
you saw it firsthand.
Yeah.
That in and of itself is such a relief when we're able to target market and really isolate it. And then, there are always going to be people at a company. I'd say it's usually, my experience is about 3 out of 10. So 30% of the time, you'll have an employee about 30% of the population is going to say, well, I'm old school. I would love to talk to somebody. How do I do that? No problem. We just set up an on-demand call center. They have an
Right.
appointment scheduled with this is key, non-commission enrollment counselor, somebody who's per hour or per diem. They don't make money whether they sell or not. Like CarMax is the model I love. And then it's easy. It's laid back. There's no pressure. They get educated on medical and every other benefit under the sun. And they either are in or they're not. It's totally up to them. Just make sure, as a pro tip, again, make sure if you do some type of call center like that, you've got to have off peak hours, meaning you got to have evenings and weekends available. So that
Right.
way you can encourage your employee population to get their spouse or significant other, or if it's a younger person, maybe they get their mom or dad on the phone with them.
When you bring up voluntary benefits, there's probably people out there that cringe, right? They get a bad rap because, I'm not going to mention carriers. I'm not going to mention any names. But there's some big companies out there where, of course, the people who are trying to sell it are commissioned, right? There's a not a misaligned incentive, but there's an incentive
It's
to get
misaligned.
that sale. It is. They should be there to
And
support.
by the way, anybody who's going to send me hate mail, I did it for 15 years. I made a ton of money,
Yeah.
good, bad, or indifferent. I'm not giving
Right.
any money back. So I'm not high. I'm not holier than now.
Right.
I just had a change of philosophy and haven't done it that way in almost a decade.
Yeah, but when you take that out, it's a significant different experience
Oh
when
my
you're
God.
truly when you're working with someone whose job is to support the member. They're getting paid to do that job instead of I only get paid if I make the sale, because we hear is don't send this person back. When those voluntary people were mandatory, going to be there, they're going to sit there for 2-3 days. They're going to come back for hours. Every single employee had to sit through it. Had to commit to 5 minutes. You got to go through at least the 5-minute spiel. It's like being sold a timeshare, which I've bought.
That's exactly what it was.
I've bought 3 now. I have 3 timeshares because I
Sure.
have a hard time saying no. I love them. It worked out good for us. But I'll tell you a story in a second about my first timeshare experience. But it's night and day when you're just like, wow, that person actually listened to me. At the end of it, the person was like, you know what? Sounds like you're good. You probably don't need any of these products. Or maybe you
Exactly.
want one. right? Or we've had companies, and I'm going to ask your opinion about this. We've had companies that are in the voluntary industry that basically they set a budget maximum going into it, a percentage of weekly income, let's say, and they won't allow people to buy more than that. Do you see? I'm not sure what your feelings are about that. You obviously don't want people to overbuy.
So I know exactly what you're talking about, and I've done it before for sure. I remember one of my clients, 2,000 person casino and racetrack. They were been a client for more than a decade. Actually, gosh, dude, Lou, I'm old, man. I'm probably 15 years at this point. Anyway, and when we first met them, before there was, and it was through their broker, but when we first met them, when there was little to no trust from my side, they made us put together, believe it or not, you ready? It was paper enrollment. It was old fashioned, a carbon copy where they wanted employees to initial in 3 spots and sign that they are going over whatever budget per month that we recommend or per pay.
Right.
Then it was like a copy had to go to HR and HR had to sign off. And they were doing all that for CYA purposes. They wanted to make sure that employees didn't get buyer's remorse and that employees didn't, eat too much and their eyes were bigger than their stomach. Because the way that a commission salesperson is going to sell it is going to be like it's the best thing ever. And if you don't buy it, you're dumb. And frankly, you're gonna need it. And a lot of scare tactics. There's a lot of ways to do it. And I get it. I haven't had to do anything like that in multiple years. And here's why. We only are virtual and it's all through a technology. So like, I'm a huge fan of ease. In fact, anybody here, if you're going to be at the ease conference in Vegas in less than 2 weeks, I'm speaking. David Reed is this week's guest on my podcast. It's just being released as we speak. I recorded it a month ago. And he asked me to speak to his at his ease users conference because of how big of a fan I am and because of the message I can deliver. When you're using a system like Ease or their competitor Navigator or PlanSource or ADP or Solarix, or there's so many of them, my goodness, right? Then you have a digital footprint. When there's and then if there's, a call center, God bless, but the reality is it's the employee self-enrolling, making that decision digitally, typing in their response, using the drop-down. So when and this is compliance is amazing, right? So if and when, and it still happens, we have an employee come back 6 months later and say, I just realized that I had this plan being deducted and I never approved it and I wasn't interested, blah, blah, blah. For years, he said, she said, and the carrier always looked bad and the rep always looked bad. Slimy, this person signed him up and it was not with permission. Now, because it's all virtual, it's digital. So we just go back to the tape. It's like, let's see the tape. And we go back and we're like, well, on Thursday at 2:00 on December 23rd, you enrolled. Did you use a call center? Because we don't show a record of a call center. No, I did it on my own. Okay, well, do you have a marriage, death, divorce? Do you have a qualifying event to make a change? No. All right, well, you're in it. If it's pre-tax, you get the idea. So I just, from a compliance perspective, we don't have to deal with that anymore. And by the way, the rule of thumb, it still exists in the marketplace. It's very old-fashioned and status quo. And the rule of thumb is don't let an employee ever spend more than 1 hour's worth of wage per week. So if they make $20 an hour, don't go more than $20 an hour per week on benefits, which, again, I'm not here to say good or bad or indifferent. It's arguable whether that's a good rule or not. It's just what people think.
You mentioned something, and we get questions all the time. Can my employee drop this benefit? And you mentioned something, and I guess what you were referring to is the POP document.
Right.
So when you have an employee, right? If you have an employee who's paying for a benefit with pre-tax dollars, they can't just decide to eliminate that benefit mid-year.
No different than a 401k contribution.
Right. People don't know this, though. We get calls all the time and say, listen, the insurance carrier might let you drop your medical insurance, but in theory, dental, medical, voluntary is different because those companies have a little bit, I think, stronger grasp on it, right? You got to get approval from that carrier to terminate that benefit. When you're talking about health insurance, if your employees are paying with their contribution, their share of the contribution with pre-tax dollars, then they should have a POP document. I would say I don't know, 80% of employers don't even have one, even though they're supposed to have one. The employees have never seen the law, the rules that are inside the POP document that clearly says, in order to make a plan change, add, change, term, delete, whatever, one of these life events, special events has to happen. We saw an uptick recently of payroll companies asking employers for copies of the POP documents.
Oh,
And that
geez.
was an opportunity for the payroll company to make a decent amount of money to charge for the creation of that document. So that's kind of a side note. If you're a benefit decision maker, HR director out there, check to see if you have a POP document. If you don't have a POP document, there's places on the internet where you can get one for virtually free. There's probably standard templates that you can go in there, but your employees are supposed to see that document. They're supposed to be given a copy of it. I'm not sure if they have to sign it or not, but
They don't
it's
have to
definitely
sign it. It's
something.
supposed to just be given. It's supposed to be
Right,
it can be literally, it sounds weird, but it can be in the main office in a file cabinet that the employee knows they have access to. They don't have to
right,
ask permission to go look at. It's kind of like putting the minimum wage poster up in the break room and stuff like that.
right,
Nobody does it. I mean, let's just be honest. Employers aren't doing it because nobody's making them aware and explaining it properly.
right.
Carriers, particularly the enhanced benefit carriers, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them will give a completely zero cost Section 125 POP plan away. You can put your medical and your 401k on it and
Yeah,
so forth. No big deal. It's just paperwork. Then there are companies out there that will charge you to set it up if you need. It's a couple $100 one time per year, but it's an annual
right.
cost. Again, compliance is important. Shout out to my friends Jen Berman at MZQ. They've taught me a lot about compliance over the years.
Yeah.
It's just something that candidly I probably didn't focus as much on over the last many years as well. But over the last 8 years since I've been doing what I'm doing now, it's become a huge part of the conversation.
It's like Cobra, right?
Yeah.
Cobra, everybody knows, but most people probably don't know what it stands for, what it's an acronym for, but that's besides the point. But,
What is it, Lou?
huh?
What is it, Lou?
Consolidated Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act. And I
All
think,
right, I'm gonna drop the mic. Here we go.
right?
Boom.
Yeah. That's why I mentioned it. I
I
wouldn't
wouldn't have
mention it if
said
I
it.
didn't
I
know what it
wouldn't have
was.
known.
But but people don't really know that you have to do. Employers don't know what the
Right.
responsibility under Cobra is. When you add an employee to a benefit plan, you're supposed to give them their Cobra general rights notice, letting them know you now have a benefit, and if you should lose it at a later date, you are entitled to a continuation of benefits under Cobra. No one does that until you get audited, and then the Department of Labor sends you a list and saying, we're going to be there, we're going to collect these 50 things, these 50 documents from you, and we want to see you register. It's kind of crazy. That's why we've used the ease benefit enrollment portal to connect to Cobra administrators that make it really simple for less than $1 employee to do that. There's no money in it for us. It's just that we really see our job as benefit optimization officers as being, I'm not a compliance expert, but we want to inform benefit decision makers of things like that and show them, cost effective ways of helping them, comply with those responsibilities. Because at the end of the day, they're at risk. They become the fiduciary of the plan. They're signing all the documents, and we want to help them sleep at night, and not have the blame or the brunt of it fall on us when they do get that letter. We've let them know that these are things we can help them with.
So, and I appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate everybody who's tuning in, and anybody that listens after the show here. Benefits with Friends, hosted by our good friend Lou here, Lou Boo. It's just all rhymes, more dad jokes.
Yeah.
But Lou, do you mind? I want to get back on the topic for a moment and share a
Sure.
few other ideas that anybody listening can hopefully benefit from, that I truly believe are a little different or very different, that they may not be already doing when it comes to being that media company.
Absolutely.
One of them, and I have two big ones to share, two more. One of them is the use of the company social media. Most brokers, advisors, and certainly employers are not touching it. They don't even think about it. And And by the way, I'm not saying, to ask your employer client for the login and user ID and password for their Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram. That's not what I mean. But what I'm talking about is creating bite-sized, easy to digest content for them. You have to be a media company. How many times do I say it? You got to create the content for them. That's what we do for our brokers and for our employer group clients. And if you provide the copy, like the word copy, and then the picture or the video, what happens is the employer can then post it on their company social media profiles. Now, the devil's advocate might say, well, but hold on, Eric. And I'm Eric, by the way, in case you forgot. They say, you know what? I'm confused because that's an employee. That's a customer-centered, customer-focused site, right? So if I sponsored an ad on Facebook as a plumbing company, I'm looking for new company or new employee, looking for new customers who might need plumbing services. Okay, great. So I say, all right, well, let's think about this. We are in a cause-driven world, right? So Mission Belts, Tom Shoes, Patagonia, these are some huge companies where when you buy something, they donate. A lot of times is how that works, right? People like to do business with companies like that, particularly millennials and Gen Z. So think about it. Is it good or bad? I'm scrolling Facebook and I'm looking for a plumbing company, right? I'm a customer that needs plumbing services. And I see an ad for your company that talks about open enrollment, how excited you are about benefits and your employees and your culture and how much you care and blah, blah, blah. And then I'm scrolling every other plumbing company and it's boring, dry. Hey, call us if you need your pipes fixed, right? Which company as a customer am I more apt to go to? Ding, 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 ding. The one that talks about culture and benefits and we're hiring and we're looking for great rock stars in the market. Number one. Number two, here's the other quick tip. When's the last time you asked your employer groups if they get all of their employees and their employee family members to follow and like their social media? When's the last time you did a campaign around that? You say, well, why would we do that? Just to boost the numbers, fake metrics? Nope, not at all. Because it's open enrollment. And if you post that it's open enrollment on your group Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn account, and your husband or wife, mom or dad, whoever it is, likes and follows that page, they may see it. And then they may go and say to the employee, hey, I just saw yesterday it's open enrollment. Do you have any papers I need to look at? Is there a system I need to log into? This is husband talking to wife or vice versa. It becomes an incredible tool that people are just not using. And by the way, it's free. If it's free, it's for me. So that's one huge idea. Number two, here's another one. Can I share another one, Lou?
Yeah.
Here's another one from a media company perspective for communication and engagement. All right. Are we using the video format, right? We're on video right now. Why are we not using video for communicating benefits? Now, you might say, well, but we do a Zoom recording. It's an hour long and nobody watches it, but we still do it. No, that's not what I'm talking about. In fact, don't do that. What I'm saying is if Lou, you're the CEO of ABC Plumbing, right? I say to you, Lou, I say, look, man, I can record myself on video for a minute telling everybody it's open enrollment. Nobody cares. Look at this face. Why would they care? And remember, I work through brokers. So your actual broker, right? He could do it. She could do it. Nobody cares. But Lou, you're the owner of Lou's Plumbing. I'll send you the script. You need to record yourself on video with your iPhone, your Android device, your Zoom, you can use Teams, you can use an iPad. Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be fancy. You record yourself. It's scripted. It's less than a minute. Got to be less than a minute, right? Send that file to us. And then my marketing office, we will add captions. We'll add your logo. We'll brighten it up. We'll make it look fancy, like Applebee's, hashtag dad joke. And what happens is now we have content. We then blast that out via text message, email, Slack, Teams, social media. And it's a positive statement. It's, hey, it's Lou. I'm so excited. This year's open enrollment. We're adding pet benefits through United Pet Care. We're doing open enrollment, and we changed your medical plan from this to that, and we're switching dental, and we're whatever it is, right? Less than a minute. Now the employee is engaged, right? You do a second video midway through the enrollment where it's, hey guys, we're halfway through open enrollment. Thanks for your help thus far. If If you're getting this message, it's because we don't see you as started or completed, because we target market. We're not going to send this to everybody. And
Right.
then at the end of the enrollment, so let's say it's a 7/1 effective date. In the first or second week of July, they're going to get a 30-second video where it literally says, hey, just wanted to thank you guys. It's been the best. You guys are awesome. It's been the easiest, best open enrollment we've had in years. And I tell you what, again, going back to post-enrollment surveys, which you need to be doing as well, we get the feedback from the employees where they're like, oh my gosh, it was so great. I work and live remote for our company, and I don't ever engage or talk to Lou, the CEO, and it was great to see him. And I only met him one time when he hired me 12 years ago, right? Like, that stuff actually is real, and it matters.
I couldn't agree with that more, and I love that idea. And we talked about that, and I think that in this age of the Great Resignation, employers need to be talking to their employees as much as they can be. And what a great opportunity, especially at open enrollment, because like I said before, it's not always perceived as the greatest, time of the year for employees. They're expecting,
It's also during Christmas and Thanksgiving, and
it's
people are
horrendous,
crazy
right?
busy.
Yeah, 80% of our clients renew January 1st. So, you get on that video and say, hey, you know what? Hope everybody had a very happy Thanksgiving with your loved ones as we're getting ready to whatever. We spent a lot of time, we took a lot of effort and put a lot of attention into selecting the benefits that best met our employees' needs. And we hope you liked what we did. We'd love your feedback. We want to get this right. You're important to us. You're the only reason why we do this. People forget, before the Affordable Care Act, there was no law that said any employer had to offer benefits to employees, yet 80% of the population that has insurance got it through their employers. That was because businesses, I call it an employee benefit, but it doesn't feel like a benefit so often, right? It feels like such a burden for an employer.
Remember those glasses you have?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll put them back on,
Right. That's what they see, but what you see is Captain America.
Right. What an opportunity for an employer to say, and on your note about the social media, put it into the group so it's a little bit more targeted, right? For just people who follow your company, right? Or member based type thing. If you feel like you don't want it, but I agree. If I'm a business owner and I'm doing the right thing by my employees, I want my customers to know that, because I think human nature is I want to do business with people who treat people well.
Don't forget hiring, right? We're in a labor market where they're having struggles to attract and retain.
Yeah.
You need to be out there talking about how great your benefits are. Here's the problem I see. A lot of companies will post on their social media about, hey, we're hiring. Well, everybody says that. Why don't you actually put yourself on a video and be meaningful? The CEO,
Right.
instead of word copy, like literally words on a page and a stupid picture, no, everybody does that. Why don't you, as the CEO, or why don't we encourage our clients to literally do a 1-minute video, blast that on social media with a passion, with a plea? And by the way, no fancy lighting, no fancy videographer, no special transitions. No, literally
Right.
selfie video. Your teenagers, if you're watching, and you personally, this is what people consume and they engage all day long. Little selfie videos.
Right.
Just do that. That is charming and appealing, and it brings you down to their level in the greatest way possible.
So we don't need makeup artists, anything like that.
No, we can Photoshop it later.
This is all natural, by the way.
Hey, in our last few minutes, if you
Yeah.
don't mind, because we're not, and it's okay, I'm making a bad joke, but we're not riddled with questions here from the audience, and I appreciate the few handfuls that are on. Let me give two final ideas.
There's one question. When will this be
do.
over? No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
All right. Two final ideas for media, right?
Yes.
This is gonna sound crazy. We do it. People love to be the center of attention, right?
Yeah.
I appreciate you inviting me to come on this show. I appreciate being the center of attention. You are a guest on my podcast, Rockstars Rocking. Follow it anywhere you consume podcasts. Wink, wink. You were a guest on my show. It's going to be released soon enough. Okay.
I'm the center.
There you go. That's fine. Your episode will be up soon enough in the next few weeks. But
Yep.
Here's the thing. What about doing a podcast for your employer group clients for
Right.
open enrollment purposes. Hold on. Wait, what? Huh?
Hmm.
What about interviewing, not HR, not the owner? What about doing a few little interview segments and splicing them together with the employees, the end users, the people that value and use the benefits? You said you meet people that you've helped that over the years where in person, where you've shook their hand, they've given you handshakes and hugs, and they love you because you've really been a benefit to them and their family, helping them through whatever it is they were going through. What about asking them, no personal info, they're not asking them to share cancer stories and stuff, but what about having them just speak for 30 seconds on a podcast type thing, audio and or video, where you then, again, this is stuff that my company does, where we can blast it out to all the employees. And that way the employee in that 20-person group, because you can do it for small groups, you should do it for small groups too.
Right.
Why not that person in a 20-person group? They know Debbie and they see Debbie on video, and Debbie's saying, Lou's the best. These benefits are great. I love working here. I don't know what I'd be doing without them. All of a sudden, you have borrowed trust for all the new people and the people that aren't currently engaged and enrolled. It
Right.
works, and people love to be the center of attention. I don't remember ever being told, no, I don't want to be on audio. Sometimes people say no to video, but no, I don't want to be on audio to talk about how great it is to work here, whatever. People love it.
Yeah. I
It works.
you know what? You need to go to the users, right? Don't take my word for it. Here's someone who experienced it. Here's someone who spoke
And they're
with.
not paid testimonials. They're
No,
just,
no,
hey,
no.
would you mind
Here's
getting
an
on a
employee
quick
that
call?
spoke to the clinical case manager that really gave guidance so that there's not resistance, because we are doing things that are different, because we are adding and enhancing to the benefit plan with companies that people just haven't been used to working before. These are things that we didn't invent these things. These are things that have been out there for a long time. They're just making it more to the mainstream. I really
Right.
think that the way we're doing benefits, the way you're doing things, with the media, with the outreach, with text messaging, with videos, this is going to be the norm. It might feel
Very.
like extra work if you're an HR person out there and you say, "Hey, wow, I wish we could do those things." Well,
You
Eric
can.
and his team, they're the ones that make it easier for you. They're not saying, "Here, you should do this, go do it." They're saying, "Hey, here's some ideas we have. How does this sound? Because we can get this going for you." Right? Would this
Exactly.
be impactful for your company?
Yep.
You don't want to just hire people. You want to keep people. You want to keep the best people. And you need to let them know that you're here and that you have their back, because you're expecting them to give their very best every single day when they show up, 7 to 3, 9 to 5, whenever it is, whatever hours they're working. You expect their best. Well, you better be giving your best in return. And I have those conversations with HR directors. Is, hey, would you do this? If this was possible, would you do this? And I say, absolutely. All right, so let's get started. Well, wait, what's the hesitation? This is, we're going to do most of the work. You have to sit through a conversation with us. It's going to be a little bit gloom and doom. That's how bad it is. The good thing is it's so bad, it's so easy to fix, a lot of the things that we're doing. So I'm going to put you on the spot.
All right.
We got about a minute and a half left, because you already laid out so much stuff. I can't wait to go back and watch this. 2 takeaways. If you were going to implement any of the things that you talked about, because you're not going to maybe do all of them at once, where should an employer start?
Well, they need to be leaning heavily on their advisor and broker. This is not the old days of status quo brokers who take you out to, they should be taking you to golf or to a nice steak once a year, and that just means you renew with them. That's insane. That's the old guard. You need to ask more of your advisor and broker. And if they're not doing the types of things that we just talked about, if they're not bringing these ideas to the table and introducing you to how they can do it for you in a turnkey system, you may want to start shopping the market for a new advisor who's innovative. Call Lou. Like, I'm not making a joke. The reality is that I look at it this way as we wrap up. I promise you, McDonald's didn't. We know this. McDonald's didn't start the company to sell salad or coffee, nor did Starbucks start the company to sell muffins and cupcakes. Right? You have to adapt to the marketplace. Lou, when you became a full service advisor, and when I got into the advisor world, none of us thought about implementing technology. Nobody thought about this communication stuff. We just wanted to offer fantastic benefits and help people. You have to be able to do more. And you know what? To steal this from my good friend Kevin Curran, he calls it, and I love it, so I'm giving him the credit. it's responsibility creep. As an advisor or broker, we have had more and more responsibilities creep into our scope of work, and you either turn a blind eye or you don't.
Right. So I pulled this up. I don't know if you have one more, because I asked for two, but one is plenty. But if there is anybody out there, hopefully there is, or there will be. This is going to be on Spotify. It's going to be on Google Podcast. It's going to be on Anchor. It's also going to be on our showcase video page. You know, here's Eric. Eric's he's available. You know, you can actually talk to Eric in person. Here's this. I think I got your check to see if I got your phone number.
All
Right.
right, it's all right.
Eric.
You know, and look, the only other thing I'd say is just embrace the responsibility that you are in need of. You know, I mean, it just goes back to what I said. Your employer clients are relying on you to do the benefits, but now you got to communicate them. So if you're not doing it in house and you have no idea all the stuff that I just talked about, reach out to somebody like myself. You don't have to call me, but reach out to somebody like myself who can help you, who will transform your brokerage or your employer group into a media company. Hey, Lou, thanks for having me on, man.
Awesome. This was great. Yep. It's all about raising expectations, because when the customer asks for more, you either step up or you're out of business. Right. So
Exactly right.
thank you so much. This was great. This will be available soon. I'll get this out before you get the one we taped together out, for sure.
Probably.
Thank you so much. I'm going to end the broadcast now, and have a go Rangers. Most important.
Go
I'm,
O's.
I'm already in the game. I'll talk to you
Me
soon.
too.
Thanks a lot, man.
Thanks, guys.
You can